Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So, the fairest of them all has finally arrived, or should I say, the live-action remake of the fairest of them all has arrived. Disney's Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, stepped out of the realm of speculation and into theaters around March 21st, and wow, has it ever been a journey. Forget poisoned apples. This film navigated a minefield of controversies long before anyone even saw a single frame. Now that the dust is beginning to settle, or maybe it's still furiously swirling, depending on where you look, it's time to really dissect this thing. This wasn't just another remake. It became a cultural battleground, a flashpoint for debates about representation, fidelity to source material, modernizing classics, and Disney's entire creative direction. Was it a bold reimagining unfairly maligned, or a cautionary tale of a studio losing its way? Let's really dig in. Remember the build-up? It felt less like anticipation and more like bracing for impact. The casting of Rachel Zegler immediately set the internet ablaze. Here we had a phenomenally talented Latina actress cast as a character literally named for her skin as white as snow. Now, the arguments flew thick and fast. On one side, a necessary push for diversity, for breaking free from outdated, Eurocentric standards in beloved tales. A valid, important conversation in modern Hollywood. But on the other side, passionate cries about faithfulness, about changing a character whose defining physical trait, for better or worse, is embedded in her very name and iconography. Was it colorblind casting pushing boundaries, or was it a performative choice that disregarded the source? The debate still rages, but now we have the performance itself. Reports suggest Zegler herself received praise for her portrayal, a testament perhaps to her talent rising above the noise. But did that performance convince those who felt the casting fundamentally altered the character? Judging by the online reaction, the division remains stark. And then there were Zegler's own comments from way back, calling the original 1937 film dated, criticizing the prince's actions as stalking, and emphasizing that the new Snow White was focused on leadership, not finding love. For many, this felt less like an actress promoting her film and more like a dismissal of the very classic she was inheriting. It begged the question that echoed online. If you seem to hold such disdain for the original's core elements, why take on this particular role? While updating characters is standard practice, the perceived attitude arguably alienated a huge chunk of the potential audience before day one. Did the final film successfully integrate that leadership focus in a way that felt organic, or did it feel, as many feared, forced and dismissive of the fairy tale romance aspect? Let's talk about the changes beyond the lead. The seven dwarfs. Duck, grumpy, happy, sleepy, bashful, sneezy, dopey, etched into animation history. They were replaced, as leaked photos suggested and the final film confirmed, by magical creatures of varying appearances, brought to life largely through CGI. The intention, likely fueled by concerns about dwarfism stereotypes voiced by actors like Peter Dinklage, was understandable. But the execution? Reviews and audience comments paint a picture of characters lacking the distinct charm and personality of the originals. Did they feel like integrated parts of the world, or like jarring, uncanny additions? Did sacrificing those iconic figures serve the story in a meaningful way, or was it another change that distanced the remake from its beloved roots? And the visuals overall, the trend towards hyperrealism in Disney remakes continues. Did the enchanted forest feel truly enchanted, or just rendered? Did the animals possess whimsical charm, or did they veer into that slightly unsettling realism we saw in the Lion King remake? Sometimes, aiming for technical wizardry can sacrifice the very storybook magic these tales thrive on. The 1937 animation had a painterly beauty, a specific artistry that perhaps can't, or shouldn't, be perfectly replicated with modern CGI. Now, let's get down to brass tacks, the reception. With a reported budget soaring north of $240 million, the stakes were astronomical. The critical consensus? Decidedly lukewarm, leaning towards negative. While Zegler often gets positive notices, the film itself is frequently criticized for its tone, pacing, and some of the very changes we've discussed. Rotten Tomatoes scores reflect this critical divide, and audience scores on platforms like IMDb, they plummeted, indicating a significant backlash, even accounting for potential review bombing. The sentiment appears overwhelmingly negative from a vocal segment. This translates directly to the box office. Initial reports suggest an opening weekend significantly lower than what you'd expect for a Disney tentpole of this scale, especially one based on such a universally known property. While it might find some footing over time or on streaming, the theatrical performance seems underwhelming against that massive budget. It's not just about profit, it's about validating the creative direction. when the audience you presumably rely on, those who cherish the original, seem to reject the new version. It sends a powerful message. So, what does it all mean? Looking back, Snow White 2025 feels less like a movie and more like a symptom. A symptom of Disney potentially being caught between two worlds, wanting the guaranteed brand recognition and nostalgia dollars from its classics, but also feeling compelled to drastically overhaul them to fit contemporary social checklists or corporate mandates. The result, in this case, appears to be a product that pleased few, too different for the purists, perhaps not different enough or compelling enough on its own merits for a new audience, and plagued by external controversies. Was it a noble experiment that didn't quite land, or a fundamental misreading of why people loved Snow White in the first place? It raises huge questions about the future of these remakes. How many more classics can be put through this process before audiences lose interest entirely? Is there a way to update these stories respectfully, enhancing their themes without discarding their core identity? Disney needs to be asking these questions seriously, because the Snow White saga suggests their current formula might be broken. It's a fascinating, albeit potentially painful, lesson in the complexities of adapting beloved folklore in our modern, often fractured, cultural landscape. What are your thoughts now that it's out there? If you saw it, did it change your mind from the pre-release buzz for better or worse? Where do you think Disney goes from here with their remakes? Let me know everything down in the comments. I'm genuinely curious to hear the post-release takes. And please, if you find these deep dives valuable, hit that like button, subscribe for more analysis, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss what we tackle next. We need to keep these conversations going. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay critical, stay engaged, and I'll see you in the next video.